Sugar Ray Leonard earned $120 million, won 6 world titles, and became one of the most beloved athletes on earth, all while running from a secret he buried for 30 years. The smile that sold 1 million sponsorships. The charm that made him cross over royalty. The perfect Olympic hero who conquered boxing's golden era. But behind the gloves and the gold, Leonard was carrying something that almost no one around him knew. Not his trainers. Not his corner. Not the millions who watched him fight. In 2011, Leonard finally spoke. He revealed that as a 15-year-old amateur boxer, he had been sexually abused by an older coach. The revelation reframed everything: the hunger, the rage, the obsession with winning, the cocaine, the violence outside the ring, the retirements that never stuck. How does someone become the most gifted boxer of his generation while running from the thing that shaped him? Ray Charles Leonard was born May 17, 1956, in Wilmington, North Carolina. His mother named him after the singer Ray Charles, hoping he'd have a voice. Instead, he found his voice with his fists. The family moved to Palmer Park, Maryland, a working-class black suburb of Washington, D.C., when Leonard was 3. His father, Cicero, worked nights as a supermarket manager. His mother, Getha, cleaned houses. Leonard was the 5th of 7 children, and the house was loud, crowded, underfunded. There was no room for weakness. Boxing wasn't Leonard's idea. His older brother Roger started first, training at the Palmer Park Recreation Center. Leonard, 10 years old, tagged along one afternoon in 1966 just to watch. A coach named Ollie Dunlap saw something in the kid's build: fast hands, quick feet, a natural sense of distance. Dunlap handed Leonard a pair of gloves. Leonard hated it. He cried after his first sparring session, humiliated by the older boys who beat him up. He told his mother he'd never go back. She made him return the next day. That decision changed everything. Within a year, Leonard was winning junior tournaments. By 13, he was the best amateur in Maryland. By 15, he was training under a network of coaches in the D.C. area, chasing a spot on the 1976 Olympic team. That's when it happened. An older coach, someone Leonard trusted, someone with access and authority, sexually abused him. Leonard never named the man publicly. He buried it. He told no one. Not his parents, not his brothers, not his future wife. He did the only thing he knew how to do. He kept boxing. Leonard transformed the trauma into fuel. He trained with a fury that his coaches couldn't explain. He won the National Golden Gloves in 1973. He won the AAU Championship in 1974. He won the Pan American Games gold medal in 1975. By the time the 1976 Montreal Olympics arrived, Leonard was the face of American boxing. Lightweight division. 5 feet 10, 139 pounds, fast as lightning, prettier than any fighter had a right to be. He dismantled every opponent. In the gold medal match, he stopped Cuba's Andres Aldama in the 3rd round. The CBS cameras caught Leonard waving an American flag, grinning, hugging his parents. America fell in love. Howard Cosell called him the next great crossover star. Leonard was 20 years old, and the world wanted him to turn pro. He said no. He announced his retirement from boxing. He wanted to go to college, get a degree, live a normal life. He enrolled at the University of Maryland. He got engaged to his high school girlfriend, Juanita Wilkinson. She got pregnant. They had a son, Ray Jr., in 1973. Leonard needed money. College wasn't paying the bills. His parents were still struggling. The only skill he had was boxing, and the only way to make real money was to turn pro. In 1977, Leonard signed with a lawyer named Mike Traynor, who put together a syndicate of 24 investors to back Leonard's career. It was unprecedented, a fighter who owned a stake in himself, who had a team of suits negotiating TV deals and sponsorships before he'd thrown a professional punch. Leonard wasn't just a boxer. He was a brand. His first pro fight was February 5, 1977, in Baltimore. He knocked out Luis Vigo in 6 rounds and earned $40,000, more than his father made in 2 years. The smile returned. The trauma stayed buried. Leonard fought his way through the ranks with surgical precision. Trainer and his team made sure Leonard fought on television every time, ABC, CBS, NBC. By 1979, Leonard was the most recognizable boxer in America, and he hadn't even fought for a world title yet. That changed November 30, 1979. Leonard faced Wilfred Benitez for the WBC welterweight championship in Las Vegas. Benitez was undefeated, slick, untouchable. Leonard broke him. He stopped Benitez in the 15th round with 15 seconds left in the fight. Sugar Ray Leonard, at 23, was the welterweight champion of the world. The endorsements exploded. 7-Up, Nabisco, Coca-Cola. Leonard became the first black athlete since O.J. Simpson to land that kind of mainstream commercial appeal. He earned more outside the ring than inside it. But the title wasn't enough. Leonard wanted to prove he was the best, and in 1980, that meant one name, Roberto Duran. Duran, the Panamanian nightmare, was the most feared fighter on the planet. Lightweight champion for years, now moving up to welterweight to take Leonard's belt. Leonard Duran happened June 20, 1980, in Montreal. Duran bullied Leonard from the opening bell. He walked through Leonard's jabs, got inside, turned it into a brawl. Leonard tried to box. Duran made him fight. After 15 brutal rounds, the judges gave it to Duran by unanimous decision. Leonard lost his title. He lost his undefeated record. For the first time in his life, he lost, period. The rematch was set for November 25, 1980, in New Orleans. This time, Leonard fought Duran's ego instead of Duran's body. He clowned him. He showboated. He made Duran chase. In the 8th round, Duran, humiliated and exhausted, turned to the referee and said 2 words that became legend: "No mas. No more." Duran quit. Leonard reclaimed his title without throwing the final punch. After Duran, Leonard was untouchable. He unified the welterweight division. He moved up to junior middleweight and took that title, too. In 1981, he faced Thomas Hearns, the undefeated WBA welterweight champion, in a fight billed as The Showdown. September 16, 1981, Caesar's Palace. Leonard was behind on the scorecards going into the 13th round. Hearns was faster, longer, sharper. Leonard's corner told him he had to knock Hearns out or lose. Leonard came out like a man possessed. He battered Hearns against the ropes, landing 30 unanswered punches. The referee stopped it in the 14th round. Leonard was undisputed welterweight champion. He was 32-1. He was on top of the world. And then his body betrayed him. In 1982, Leonard started experiencing blurred vision in his left eye. Doctors found a partially detached retina. He needed surgery. In November 1982, Leonard announced his retirement. He was 26 years old. He walked away with $40 million in career earnings, more than any boxer in history except Muhammad Ali. He did commercials. He did commentary for HBO. He tried to live the life he thought he wanted. He couldn't. The retina healed. The itch returned. In 1984, Leonard came back for one fight against Kevin Howard, a nobody. He won, then retired again. In 1987, he came back again, this time to challenge Marvelous Marvin Hagler for the middleweight title. Hagler was undefeated in 11 years, the most feared middleweight since Monzon. Leonard hadn't fought a real opponent in 5 years. Vegas oddsmakers called it a mismatch. April 6, 1987, Caesars Palace. Leonard boxed circles around Hagler for 12 rounds, moving, feinting, landing just enough to win on points. The judges gave Leonard a split decision. Hagler never fought again. Leonard retired again. The comebacks weren't about money. They were about the thing Leonard never faced. Boxing was the only place where the pain made sense. Retirement didn't work. Leonard came back again in 1988 to fight Donnie Lalonde for 2 titles. He won, then retired. He came back in 1989 to fight Hearns again in a rematch no one wanted. It ended in a draw. He retired. He came back in 1991 to fight Terry Norris. Norris beat him badly. Leonard was 35, slower, chinny, a shot fighter chasing ghosts. He finally retired for good. But outside the ring, Leonard was collapsing in ways the public couldn't see. His marriage to Juanita was disintegrating. Leonard had been cheating for years. He was drinking heavily. In the late 1980s, he started using cocaine. He later admitted he became addicted. Juanita filed for divorce in 1990. The split was ugly, public, expensive. During the proceedings, Juanita's lawyers alleged that Leonard had physically abused her during their marriage. Leonard denied it at first, then admitted to one incident where he claimed he slapped her. Juanita's testimony painted a darker picture: years of control, intimidation, violence behind closed doors. The divorce was finalized in 1990. Leonard's image took its first real hit. The golden boy wasn't so golden. He remarried in 1993 to Bernadette Roby, a television personality. The cocaine stopped. The drinking continued. Leonard did motivational speaking. He worked as a boxing analyst. He played golf. He smiled for cameras. But the unresolved trauma was still driving him. He was 54 years old before he finally told anyone. In 2011, Leonard published his autobiography, The Big Fight: My Life in and Out of the Ring. In it, he revealed for the first time that he had been sexually abused as a teenager by an Olympic boxing coach. He described the abuse in clinical, painful detail. He explained that he had buried it for 30 years because he was ashamed, because he didn't have the language for it, because boxing was the only way he knew how to keep moving. The revelation reframed his entire life. The rage in the ring. The inability to stop fighting. The self-destruction outside it. The violence toward Juanita. Leonard wasn't just a fighter. He was a survivor running from his own story. The public response to Leonard's confession was complicated. Some praised his courage. Survivors of abuse recognized themselves in his story. Others questioned why it took 30 years. Some wondered if it was a publicity move for the book. Leonard didn't defend himself. He said he was done running. But the damage was done. His relationship with his children had been fractured for years. His son, Ray Jr., struggled with addiction and had spent time in prison. Leonard admitted he hadn't been present as a father, that he was too consumed by his own demons to see his kids clearly. His daughter, Jarrell, later said she spent her childhood watching her father disappear into himself. The man who could face Roberto Duran couldn't face his own family. The abuse explained a lot, but it didn't excuse everything. Leonard's violence toward Juanita wasn't a symptom he could box away. His repeated comebacks weren't heroic. They were compulsive. He fought until there was nothing left to fight. His final record: 36 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. 5 world titles in 5 weight classes. Over $120 million earned. And 30 years of silence about the thing that shaped every decision he made. Leonard spent the 2010s trying to repair the damage. He reconciled with Juanita, who said publicly that she forgave him. He worked with his children to rebuild trust. He became an advocate for survivors of childhood sexual abuse, speaking at events and supporting organizations that help young athletes report abuse safely. In 2019, he testified before Congress in support of legislation that would extend the statute of limitations for abuse survivors. He told lawmakers that abusers rely on shame and silence, and that survivors need time to find their voice. It was the same voice he didn't have at 15. The same voice he spent a career punching through. Leonard is 68 now. He lives in California. He's still married to Bernadette. He plays golf. He does commentary. He smiles. But the smile is different. It's not the polished, sponsor-friendly grin from the 1980s. It's something hard-earned. Something that knows the cost. Sugar Ray Leonard is remembered as one of the greatest boxers who ever lived. Pound for pound, he sits in the conversation with Ali, Robinson, and Mayweather. 6 world titles. Olympic gold. A crossover icon who brought boxing to mainstream America in the 1980s. But his real legacy is quieter and harder to measure. Leonard's story is about what happens when survivors channel trauma into achievement without ever stopping to face what drives them. He won every fight in the ring and lost almost everything outside it. The abuse at 15 didn't just shape Leonard's hunger to win. It taught him that the only safe place was the place where pain made sense, where getting hit was part of the job, where bleeding was expected, where no one asked what was wrong because everyone was already broken. That's why he kept coming back. Not for money. Not for glory. Because stopping meant facing the silence. The lesson isn't that Leonard should have spoken sooner. The lesson is that achievement doesn't heal what it covers. Leonard earned $120 million and 6 world titles, and none of it touched the 15-year-old boy who had no words for what happened to him. It wasn't until Leonard was 54, until he finally spoke, that the real fight began. The fight to repair his family. The fight to forgive himself. The fight to help other survivors find their voice. That fight doesn't have a scorecard. It doesn't end with a referee raising your hand. It's the fight that matters most, and it's the one Leonard spent 30 years avoiding. Sugar Ray Leonard was one of the most gifted boxers in history. He was also proof that you can run from the thing that made you for your entire life, and it will still be there when you stop. The only way out is through. And Leonard, finally, is walking through.